Hey everybody, welcome back to another movie review. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. I just got done watching something that I was actually hearing quite a bit about, and that is a film called Ends Men. I believe that's how you say it. I'm looking at my TV screen right now because I just watched it. Um, I believe that's how you call it. Yeah, Ends Men. Which was written and directed by Mark Jenkin, who last did a film called Bait, which was also quite notable film. Um, I haven't seen Bait incidentally, but I've heard a lot of good things about Bait. Um, this is a isolated horror about a woman who you wouldn't I'm not sure if you would get it based without reading the description of the film, but she's a researcher, I guess you could say, and she's been based on this island to research the area, the natural environments, and she becomes a bit fascinated over a patch of flowers, um, and I think that her assignment is to examine certain natural elements, particularly flowers. And you see that she goes back to her house and she journals, and you see that there's a quite a repetitive nature to her journals, which kind of echoes that of like The Shining with Jack Nicholson, writing down the same things, over and over again. Um, and repetition is quite honestly the best word for it because it is a film that demonstrates repetitive natures within isolated circumstances, and um, and the delusions that come from the weight of such loneliness. Because this is a very lonely character. I mean, it's just her, um, and it's just her on this island, and based on that you can determine what is going to happen throughout the film. um, and with what it presents tonally, I was fairly unnerved by it. I mean, from the first like 5 minutes, just there's just an energy to the film that I just could not find myself comfortable in, and that's all good things towards the film. um, I found it to be very very unnerving, um, very off-putted, tonally speaking, and I found that to be um, very interesting. And to its credit, I think that it's visually quite a treat as well. There's a lot of fascinating images, and it does try to attempt for a abstract approach to what essentially is about one's descent and about insanity, and how one reaches says points. Um, the problem with the film is that the viewer the viewer would be knowing of this when viewing the film, because the problem with the narrative is that it is a fairly straight-faced approach. I mean, it does try to make that attempt for more interpretive language, and I think that it wanted to be more interpretive than it actually is. Um, but I think the issues are with its sensibilities, because it strays much too closely to its sensibilities and to how it wants to approach things, and because of that, the viewer is much too knowing of events that are happening, or that are taking place. So I don't think it's a film that's that hard to figure out. I think that within the first like 20 or so minutes, you pretty much know what's happening. You know that she's pretty much delusional, and that she's just kind of conjuring things up as things go on, um, to kind of compensate for her loneliness. Again, just it's insanity, and to pretty much put it bluntly. Um, but I think that there are qualities to it that are fascinating. Like I said, I think that it is unnerving, even though it is all knowing. Like, you do know what is happening and will eventually happen. And it does, like I said, how it is ultimately about repetitions, and how those repetitions can lead to such such delusions. Um, it acts and feels that way simultaneously. There is that repetitiveness, if that's even a word, that is felt while watching it, and thus you kind of at points feel a little bit tuned out. more so also because you also just have a great understanding of what's going on, and that's a big problem with the film, is that it shouldn't have given the viewer that much knowledge. You know, there should be more air of more room for mystery, as it's trying to be, but it's just not the case. It's a film that's fairly straightforward, but you know, even though it is a film that is not as mysterious as it thinks it is, I still found myself unnerved by it, and I think that a there is a good degree of visual interest, I would say, um, and I did like the references and some of the whispers of films. Like it has echoes of like Stanley Kubrick, like I said with The Shining. For a more recent example, it kind of reminded me a little bit of The Lighthouse, with just its setting, with being on a remote island, and just with how this our protagonist moves around. Like it has those kind of sensibilities, or those kinds of influences surrounding it. The problem is that the Lighthouse has that mystery. The Shining also has that mystery. This had the mystery conceptually, but it just unfortunately showed its hand by being by straying too close to its own sensibilities. So I think that it should have acted a little bit differently, and allowing for that interpretive language to really blossom and really show itself. Because as it stands, it's a film that it's just blatantly obvious, and I wish that it just, I wish it wasn't. I wish it wasn't that. That's what is kind of hindering my love for the film, because I think visually and tonally, just the aesthetics overall, like I love the feeling of of its setting. It wouldn't you would be able to fool me if you told me that that was a film that was made in the 70s, because it just has that grainy and that aesthetically and technically speaking as well, by its zooms and the way that it approaches its films and subjects. It just um, has those ideas surrounding it almost always. And I would be fooled if you had told me, like, I would believe it. I would totally believe it if it was a film from the 70s. Um, and again, I love the attitude of it. I just wish that the or not or sorry, I like the behavior of the film, but I don't like the attitude of the film. That's kind of the distinction I want to make, is that the behavior is great. I love this brewing, quiet, like some dialogue here and there, some dialogue here. They're mostly a visually driven story, but I don't like how how much information and how much it shows itself to the viewer, and how how early of it, how early on we get a sense of events. I wish that that wasn't the case with this film, um, but as it stands, it's not bad. I found it to be fairly enjoyable. Like I said, it does become a bit tedious because of because of a lacking of interpretive language. Um, but I do think that there is some merit to it from its visual points and its tonal um, ideas. And I do think that the images themselves, even though they're not really as abstract as it thinks it is, are interesting. So it's an interesting piece, but I do wish though it had more of an air of mystery to it, rather than being so painfully obvious. So that's my thoughts on Enys Men. I believe that's how you say the name of the film. But you guys know your thoughts on Enys Men. I heard a lot about it. I heard a lot of people talking about it, so just was curious to watch it. Not bad, but you guys know your thoughts on Enys Men. If you guys checked it out, did you guys like it? Did you guys not like it? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for watching. My next video, I'm going to be having, again, the beard hunt. There'll be something of a different video for this channel, so You guys let me know your thoughts on that video. Let me know if you want me to continue doing said videos in the future, those kinds of videos. Um, but um, but yeah, just a heads up, just in case you see the beard one more time. But thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts about the film in the comment section below, and I will catch you guys in the next video.